Let the interview begin. All right. Welcome. Hello. Glad you're here.
How's
How
it
are
going?
you? Good,
I'm
good.
good.
That's awesome. I'd first like to say thank you so much for joining. It was awesome when I got to meet you on James C. Burns' live stream. I got to interview you. Well, not interview you, but ask you a question or two before we got to the main event, which is today. And I'm so glad to be able to host this. And thank you for coming. And I hope you enjoy.
Thank you for having me.
So, what was your childhood like?
What was my childhood like? Oh my goodness. God, I spent a lot of times in a lot of hospitals. I was a very rambunctious kid growing up, and broke many bones as a result of it. And so, I put my parents through a lot of hell in that respect, because we made many trips to the hospitals growing up. But as with most kids, I was very active and out and about. It was a different generation. It was the generation of you go out and play all day and literally from sunrise to sunset, and then come back home to have dinner. So it was a different childhood than what I'm seeing in today's youth, where a lot of them are on their phone or on their computers and not really getting out and mingling. Obviously right now it's impossible to do that as a result of the current times, but yeah, it's something that I miss.
Yeah, I hope when all this ends, we can get back to sort of something like that, because I completely understand what you're saying. It's very different. When I was growing up, I mean, I'm not that old. I'm not the same, but when I was growing up, I'm not saying you're old, but I'm saying when I was a kid, it's come back in when the street lights come on, or you're gonna get it, And I don't really see that nowadays in most kids. I see, like you said, I see most kids on PlayStation or Xbox or just texting, not even paying attention to people.
way back in the days, we used to get into the gold mines and go cave there. No, it was a different childhood, definitely not that far back, but back far enough. I mean, I was reading a post yesterday. Somebody posted about being part of Generation X, which I am a part of Generation X, and we were the first ones to play video games, the first ones to play Atari and Nintendo. If I wanted to play video games, I had to go to the local arcade and beg my parents to give me $5 so I could play $5 worth of video games. And you're talking Centipede and Pac-Man and a lot of the driving games, and it was a lot different now. The technology is so much more advanced. Looking back, I'm like, wow, those games kept us entertained for hours. And now the stuff that I'm seeing that you can play on it in the comfort of your own home is drastically different.
I remember my first time I saw an arcade. I was I think it was at Coney Island. I used to live in New York, and they had like this big arcade. They're like arcade games from left to right. It's all over the place. I remember the first one I played was I think it was like an X-Men game. I can't remember what it was called exactly, but I played an X-Men, and it was an experience that I'm kind of sad I won't get to experience, and other kids won't get to experience, because it's PlayStation, or they're playing a mobile game or on PC, so it's kind of a sucky thing.
Right. Now, when I was in college and playing college football, I think is when Mortal Kombat had just come in. So we were all at the arcade in between football practice, going and playing and getting a bite to eat in between practices and playing Mortal Kombat. I mean, but it was a different time. My parents would know when I went to the arcade, and I sometimes would get in trouble. Why? Because back then, smoking was allowed in a lot of these establishments. So you'd have somebody who was playing the game before you who'd be smoking, and they'd place their cigarette on top of the actual control panel. And a lot of these control panels were half melted from all the cigarettes. And so you'd go and play these games, and you'd walk away, smelling like you smoke cigarettes. And you're talking, you're 12, 13, 14 years old coming home, and your parents are wondering why you smell like cigarette. And I was playing video games, and right, okay, sure you were. It was different. It was a different time.
I could just imagine the whooping I would get coming in the house, smell like cigarettes from the arcade.
I got a few of those, and then my mom went with me one day to the arcade, which was extremely embarrassing because she did this in front of all my friends. She wanted to come and see it, and I was like, Mom, why are you gonna do this, embarrass me in front of my friends? She came in and she saw what was happening, and she's like, you're not allowed to go to the arcade anymore. And then, but she made up for it. She ended up getting us an Atari. So that was kind of the trade-off.
Good trade-off, in my opinion. What did you see yourself doing as an adult when you were younger?
I had always dreamed about being an actor, always. And it was something that was, growing up in Los Angeles and being around that entertainment culture, and knowing that, down the street was Paramount Studios and Universal Studios was over the hill, and so was Warner Brothers, and I'd go on a lot of these tours as a kid, especially Universal Studios, taking that tour and being like, I would love to be doing this. But, you grow up, everybody's mindset is, you go to school, you get an education, which is completely valid. I completely agree with that. I went to school, got an education. Actually, I went to the Marine Corps right after high school. And when I was getting out of the Marine Corps, I went back to college to study electrical engineering. But the seed for being a performer had never left me. And sometime in that transition from military to college, I had picked up the habit of salsa dancing. I know, it was a weird one, but I fell in love with the dance and joined a dance company and got pretty proficient and started competing and then performing and traveling, and I got to travel internationally. And so I was considered a professional dancer and started being recognized around the world for the salsa dancing. But because of the dancing, there were many opportunities that presented themselves where people would come up and say, hey, there's this movie filming. We need some, really good dancers to be in this movie or to be in this TV show. And one of the first movies that I did was a movie called Blow with Johnny Depp and Penelope Cruz. So I got to work on that movie for about 2 weeks, basically dancing around Penelope Cruz and Johnny Depp, and had several people ask me, hey, have you thought of doing this as a career? And I was like, yeah. So I took it upon myself to go back to school and study theater and acting, and I'm so glad that I did. And I left a career in engineering to pursue acting. Big leap of faith, but I knew that. I recently saw an interview with Jim Carrey where he said his father had a very modest living and always pushed his kids to do what they wanted to do, and he settled for a regular stable job. Well, then he got laid off that job. And so Jim Carrey said, my father got laid off doing a job that he didn't love. So if you're going to fail at something, fail at the thing that you love and that you want to do. And for me, it was acting, and I'm glad that I was persistent and continued on and have had some success and have been a working actor for 20 plus years.
That's a complete blessing to be able to say. Some people might not know this, but you are a war vet. Thank you for your service. I want to say that right off the bat.
It was my pleasure.
What led you to want to do that, join the military?
Growing up in Los Angeles, I grew up in an area of Los Angeles known as East Hollywood. There was a lot of gang activity, a lot of gang violence growing up. And it was around the time where drive-by shootings started to become a thing. And a lot of the kids that I grew up with, unfortunately, some of them got involved in that lifestyle and got involved in that, with that gang violence. And I was always involved in athletics, and I hadn't really decided what I was going to do as a career. And I come from a family of veterans. My father was in the Army during Vietnam. My oldest brother was in the Navy at the tail end of Vietnam. And so when the position or the opportunity presented itself to join the Marine Corps, I felt, well, I'm athletic, I play sports. This kind of, will help, give me some more life experience. And so I joined the military right out of high school. As a matter of fact, I graduated on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday morning. I was on my way to boot camp in San Diego and spent the next 8 years in the Marine Corps. And there's not a day goes by that there are no regrets as far as I'm concerned. That experience has benefited me in so many ways, both personally and professionally. Personally, it's just being able to, again, be persistent, be goal driven, being able to set a goal and follow through with it. And that was something that was instilled in every military, not just the Marine Corps, but I'm sure it's instilled in every branch of service out there. So for me, that going into the military just seemed like the next natural step in my process of growing up.
A lot happens when people go to war. Veterans always talk about their stories of when they served and stuff like that. How did you, in your off time, process everything?
Process everything in respect to what I had seen and experienced?
Yes.
Well, there's a lot that is done for morale and welfare in the military to keep the spirits of those servicemen and women up. And so I did my best to try and get involved in other things, staying as active as possible. There was actually a football team that played when I was stationed at 29 Palms, and I played on that football team. And that, when I was transitioning out of the military, I went back to college and actually played intercollegiate football. So I played college football. And, I never lost that ability to get involved athletically. And so being able to I feel for me, as long as I keep my body healthy, the mind will follow. And, those times, especially with this pandemic, has been a true example of that. Seeing so many friends, and myself included, where it's you can't go to the gym because the gyms are closed. And it's what do I do to stay active? And I've had those lulls where you get sedentary and you don't feel yourself, and you feel if I don't get moving, this is not going to be good for me mentally as well as physically. So I think being able to channel that, especially when I was in the military, that helped me to process a lot of things. And also, there's nothing that I feel in me that is PTSD related. So I feel I'm one of the fortunate ones that didn't end up with some type of post-traumatic stress syndrome because of the things that I experienced or things that I saw other fellow servicemen and women experience, and I'm thankful for that. But that being said, I make sure that I still stay in contact. I'm involved with a group called Veterans in TV and Film, and so there's a lot of military people coming out of the military that want to transition into something new, and some of them want to pursue a career in acting. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm involved in that, to kind of help guide and help give insight to those interested in pursuing acting as a career post-military.
Wow, that's an amazing story, because you always hear when some vets come back, they talk about it's hard to transition back into their regular life. Did you find it pretty easy to come back, or was it difficult?
I was torn when it came to the point where do I re-op or continue my career in the military, or do I transition to a civilian lifestyle? And I knew that there were other things that I wanted to accomplish, and also being a family man, I knew that I needed to find a way to provide more for my family. And so the next natural thing was go back to school. And through that, I got involved in some other hobbies. Again, like I said, the salsa dancing was something that was an outlet for me, but it allowed me to see other options and other possibilities post-military. And so, yeah, it's difficult when you're just been accustomed to living that military lifestyle, being in the military 24/7, not doing anything different for 4, 8, 10, 12 years. Especially the lifers. The lifers are the ones that we refer to as the ones that spent at least 15 years in the military and were looking to make it a career. That is where I'm sure it would be very difficult to transition to a civilian life. And I do come across some of those veterans, but it's a transition period as it is for anybody else. You leave one job that you've been doing for years, and then it's do I want to continue doing the same kind of job just with a different company? or do I take this opportunity to venture elsewhere? And I've always been that adventurous type to not sit idly by and just, you know, try and find other avenues, other places where I can put my energy into.
Do you prefer acting or dancing?
Love dancing, but, you know, for obvious reasons, you know, salsa dancing is a partner dance. And right now, you know, there's the social distancing, it's impossible to do that. But, you know, acting or dancing, I really do enjoy the acting. Why? Because sometimes the opportunities present itself where I get to actually utilize my dancing experience. So I think I would have to go with the acting for sure. I mean, I get to do things like Call of Duty, and I actually did have to do some salsa dancing while we were creating some of the skins for my character. We were doing some of the photo sessions, and the game developers or the character developers were there with me, and they had run out of some ideas, and they're like, well, you have anything, you know, I read on your bio that you're a salsa dancer. You want to do some salsa dancing? And in one of the outfits I was wearing, I just started dancing. My character is Cuban. My character comes from a Caribbean island where music is so much a part of the everyday life, not just in Cuba, but in most of Latin America. And so I added that flavor into the character, and it was fun to play with that.
Well, now let's transition into Call of Duty, which I'm sure most people are here for. And you are, which I found pretty cool, is that you are on the cover of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Let me pull up a picture right here. Boom. That's you. That's you right there. And I think that's literally amazing. How did you know that you were going to be on the cover at all? No?
No idea.
Oh, wow.
No idea. It was something that just was a total surprise. You know, again, you know, we do all this facial scanning and photography. I'm the face of DGI Garcia. It's not the voice. The voice was done by another actor. But yeah, it's, you know, they did all the facial scan, and I saw what they could do with all that information and all the photos. They could load that into a computer system that would then be able to make my character do and say whatever they wanted to within the program, which I think is incredible. That, again, the technology has advanced so much. Looking at my face right there, I look like I was very angry, but I was having a lot of fun during that whole process.
I would have so much fun too. Oh my goodness, this looks. Let me pull up a picture of you in your. Hold on, that's you.
Oh, that's the new skin that just dropped just a few days ago, I believe, with one of the DLCs. So yeah, I'm seeing that now, and there's gonna be. I'm sure that there's probably gonna be a few more skins coming your way with Garcia.
Can you tell us a little quick summary of who Hernando Garcia is in the game?
DGI Mendo Garcia was a Cuban. He's a Cuban expatriate who was in Cuba during, you know, grew up on the streets, you know, involved in street gangs and street violence. And when the revolution hit, he was a part of, you know, that whole war time. And when the Cuban government started to transition during the Cold War, he basically left and is a mercenary. Basically, he's an assassin for hire, and he works for those who, well, you know, possibly give him the biggest payday. He's very ruthless, by the way.
Now he's in the multiplayer and zombies like Warzone and stuff like that. I don't think he's in the campaign. I was trying to look it up. Yeah.
I wish had that character been in the campaign, you know, that probably would have required me to do some motion capture. And most of the motion capture for the campaign, you know, the cinematic portion of that was shot prior to me coming on board. And I believe that took place out in Chicago with Reggie Watkins and Bruce Thomas and those actors that, you know, Bruce Thomas plays Adler. And so that took place at a different location. Most of my work was done here in the Los Angeles area. And I believe their motion capture process was a few months long, if I'm not mistaken. I may be incorrect. I wasn't involved at this. Like I said, I wasn't involved in the game at that point. But yeah, when I came aboard and I was told, yeah, your character's gonna be part of, the multiplayer, and I had heard just multiplayer. Then later, I became aware that it was going to be involved in zombies, and it was funny because when we were doing all the character development, and they were putting me in all the different outfits, and they were taking pictures, those photos were being sent back to the office of Treyarch, where all the other developers were taking a look, and they were starting to get an idea of all the characters that they would have within the multiplayer. And I was receiving some of the most flattering feedback from the developers saying, yeah, everybody loves your pictures, they love what they're seeing. And towards the end, the director of that group for the character development, a lovely gentleman by the name of Murad, came up to me and said, you're probably going to be seeing a lot of this guy. So, not to give you too much, but there's a chance. And sure enough, I was shocked at everything that started popping up, and the advertising and the trailers, and seeing so much of this character involved in it was phenomenal.
You must have freaked out when you found out you were on the cover of a Call of Duty game.
My sister, who lives in Texas, sent me a message and said, congratulations. And I said, for what? And she's like, isn't this you? And she sent me the picture. I was like, what? So I had honestly no idea. I'm humbled for sure.
You play all of the games prior to getting this gig?
I'm a huge Call of Duty fan, so yeah, I have quite a few of the games leading up to it, and I'm very much a campaign player. I love to play the campaign. Why? Because being an actor, I love following the story and seeing the cinematics behind it. Also knowing that there are a few of my friends who have been in previous incarnations of this game in front of the camera has been very special to hey, I'm playing one of my buddies here who's actually in this version of Call of Duty. So I've been a huge fan, and now to be a part of it and now have my friends sending me photos of them playing as me or their kids playing as me has been a very fun experience.
Imagine them making a action figure and you just seeing someone's like, oh my goodness, you're on an action figure, and they send you a picture of like I don't know what they call them. I think Todd McFarlane makes a lot of the action video game action figures. So they send you a McFarlane figure and it's just you there holding the gun. That would be so surreal. That
would be really cool. I probably would buy a whole bunch of them and send them out to all my family and friends. Yeah, but that would be cool. Somebody was saying, I know in some of the previous Call of Duty, they've even had the pop figures.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be cool. That would be awesome. I would love to have something like that. But that's just like the icing on the cake. Just having the opportunity to be a part of this. I'm very thankful to everybody involved. My agents who got me the audition, Ivy Eisenberg, who was the casting director, who brought all these talented people in and gave us the opportunity to battle for this project. I didn't know what it was. When I got the audition, it seemed like it was, they sent me a scene and the script, and they were going to have me audition in the room just like I would for any TV show or film. But it wasn't until I was in Ivy's office that she said, oh, by the way, this is for the next Call of Duty video game. I was like, excuse me? So it's been a lot of surprises like that leading up to what it is here. And by the way, the fact that this game is out is a testament to the group at Raven and Treyarch and Activision, because I worked on the game in late December of 2019 into about mid-January of 2019, and there was that lull in between because of the holidays. But then a few weeks later, we all know what happened was the complete and total shutdown due to the pandemic. So a lot of these game developers weren't able to go into the office. They couldn't. So they had to work from home, and they completed the programming of this game from their homes, which I think is an incredible feat. And it's my hats off to Treyarch, to Raven, to Activision, all of the ones involved in getting this game out to everybody.
Yeah, I was watching, I believe they released a video talking about making Cold War in quarantine, and that looks like so much work. I mean, you're not. It has to be a ton of work. You're not in the office setting that you're used to. You have to bring a ton of equipment home. There's some equipment you don't have that's like at the studio. So I must take it. It took a ton of work to get this game out, and like you said, hats off to the creators and developers over there.
Right. And I did voice a couple of other characters in the game, some of the fighter pilots. So when they call in, like, I forget what just to show you how multiplayer, when you call in for a plane to come in and drop artillery, or to come in with, to spray the area down, you might catch my voice. Although I've had to change it for different characters, but yeah, there's some of me in the game voice wise, but not as DGI Hernando Garcia.
What are you hoping to happen next with you in the Call of Duty franchise moving forward? Not just here, but elsewhere.
You never know what's going to happen with this. I mean, I would be honored and ecstatic to if they brought DGI Garcia into the campaign, into the next, Call of Duty. Just really depends on what era they want to place it in, because if some of the Call of Duties have been like far in the future or way in the past, so they cover a wide timeline. So it just depends on if they want to continue with the Cold War leading up into more of the modern technologies that we see nowadays. You never know. See an older DGI Garcia, just like you saw an older Frank Woods.
Frank Woods, yeah, in the wheelchair. Yeah, that'd be so cool.
That'd be interesting. Probably on some sugarcane plantation down in some Latin American country, smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Let's transition over into your acting career. Now, we spoke a little about this on James C. Burns' podcast interview with you. You were in Logan, and I freaked out when I found out you were in Logan, because that's one of my all-time favorite movies. I mean, I cry like a little girl when I watch it, but I still love that movie. What was it like when you found out you were going to be in this like massive R-rated Hugh Jackman movie?
When I auditioned for it, it was similar to Call of Duty. I didn't know what it was. When we got the sides are just like an excerpt of the script, just to allow you to read the lines that your character will be doing in a particular scene or two. And so I got this, and I had an inkling that it was something either Marvel or DC or something to that effect. I had really not a very good idea, because it was mostly redacted. A lot of it was blacked out, so I couldn't even read what happened before my scene or after my scene. And I later found this out, which I'll explain. I went in for the audition. It was to play a military commander, asking his troops to enter the building and capture this person that we're looking for, dead or alive. And I got into the audition waiting room, and I could hear other actors. And this community is very small, so a lot of times you go to these auditions and you run into a lot of friends and fellow actors that you either go up against or you have become really good friends with. And that day was a prime example. I think I ended up having lunch with about 6 of my friends that were there to audition for the same role. And we were all there for the same role. So I went in and auditioned, and this is where the military experience came in handy. I think for me, it's never been so much about yelling or screaming. It's just about being stern and knowing that there is a mission that we have to accomplish, and you got to get the information out, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no question. You do it or else. And that's kind of the mindset that I had going into that audition. And the casting directors seemed to love what I did in the room, and they looked at each other and said, well, we're happy with that. Do you want to do something else? I said, sure, let's play with it. And so I really had a lot of fun in that room for that audition. A few weeks later, I get a call from my agent saying, hey, you're in the running for this project. Can't really tell you what it is yet. They're forwarding all the stuff to the studio. The producers really like you, and you seem to be like in the top of the choices that they have. And then about a month later, I get the call saying, hey, you're okay. You you've been approved for this project. And by the way, it's the next Wolverine movie. And it was early in the morning. I think it was like 7:30 in the morning. I was in bed still. I literally got up out of bed and was jumping up and down on top of the bed like a little kid. I really was. And then I started finding out the specifics that I would be going out to New Mexico, and and realizing who else was in the scene with me. I ended up working and becoming friends with Boyd Holbrook, who is popular from the Narcos series, and he plays one of the main Reavers, who has the metal hand in it, and he and I became.
That's the main villain.
Yeah, he's one of the main villains, and we ended up, shooting the breeze quite a bit on set and off set. I mean, we were both staying at the same hotel along with Hugh Jackman, and we got to work out in the mornings together, all three of us, and then at the end of the day, we got to share a couple of glasses of wine, and it was just an all-around great experience. And that first day on set, when I got to set, Hugh Jackman walked up to me and some of the other actors who were working along with us and said, "Hey, welcome aboard." He gave us all a hug and said, "Hey, we're going to create something special here, and I'm glad to have you all aboard. So let's have some fun." And he made it a lot of fun. And working with James Mangold, I've been a fan of his work as a director for many, many years. He did Walk the Line and 310 to Yuma. I mean, for me, it was just it was a very surreal bucket list moment for me to be a part of that project.
I could only imagine how much fun it was to just meet Hugh Jackman. I mean, that's the actor. Like, everyone wants to meet Hugh Jackman or speak to him. And you also
nicest guy you'll ever meet. Truly, truly genuine and humble, and he's a megastar. You know that walking in the room, but he does not. It's just his presence alone and the way he is. He doesn't come off as that. You know who he is, obviously. But he does not make himself out to be better than anyone else, and he's very collaborative. And it was a breath of fresh air to work with somebody that talented and that humble.
You said on the interview that you got him to make a message for your I can't remember who.
For my daughter, yes.
Yeah.
I'm pulling it up on my phone. I hope you don't mind that I'm doing this, but I'm going to pull it up on the phone for you. My daughter had gotten engaged right before I left, and I had told him that, and he said, "Oh, well, let me send her a greeting." And so I recorded a video, and I said, "Hey, hon, it's me. I just wanted to tell you I'm thinking about you, and there's someone here that wants to say hello." And sure enough, he sent her a greeting on video. I have it here, and I'm pulling it up. I apologize if I'm looking down. It's just I'm trying to find this for you. But yeah, it's an awesome video, I have to say.
Another Marvel project that you appeared in was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, that's a massive show. That's the first Marvel TV show that ever aired. I remember when the first episode dropped. How old was I when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came out? I was young, very young, and I remember just falling in love with it. What was your history with Marvel prior to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Because I know this was your first Marvel project.
My history with Marvel was having a bunch of their comic books under my bed at home that I would pull out. I was a huge Spider-Man fan growing up. And Spider-Man, actually, there was a series, the Spider-Man, that was out in like the early 80s that I was a huge fan of. And then, of course, there was the Incredible Hulk, right? And of course, years later, we come out with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and to be a part of that was really, really awesome. I got to meet, Joss Whedon and work with the whole crew there. It was amazing. And I made good friends with one of my fellow actors who was on set, is an actor by the name of Lou Ferrigno Jr. His dad was the original Incredible Hulk. So we hit it off, we became friends, and still till this day, we send messages to one another. He's currently working on the TV series SWAT. So we're always cheering each other on when I see posts from him and he sees posts from me. We're always sending each other messages back and forth, and that was a direct result of having worked together on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He played a double agent, a Hydra agent, where I was a Shield agent.
Oh wow! Did you get to meet Lou Ferrigno?
I met Lou Ferrigno many years ago as a kid, when there was an old hotel here in Los Angeles called the Ambassador Hotel. Remember, I told you I grew up in an area where TV and film productions were always around and about, and I would run into these, and when I run into them, I would find a way to get into the mix and see what was happening. And they were shooting a TV show called Trauma Center with Lou Ferrigno. And I got to hang out and watch them film a couple of the scenes and get to talk to him and took pictures with him, got his autograph. Yeah, so when I met Lou Ferrigno Jr. and I told him this story, he went back and told his dad, and his dad was like, yeah, I remember something like that. But I go, again, this was years and years and years ago. So, yeah. But it was awesome to make friends with Lou Ferrigno Jr. He's a great guy. And I went to USC and he went to USC as well. He played on the football team there. I didn't play football at USC. I played football in junior college, but just we had so many things in common, and we were talking about comedy. He likes to do a lot of improv, and I love improv. So we hit it off, like I said, and we've been friends ever since.
Have you kept up with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series?
I haven't. I believe the series ended, did it not? Or is
yes,
it its final
ended.
Season?
No, it ended already. It ended, I want to say, I want to say it ended like 2 months ago. Yeah, it was a good season. Really good
I
season.
need to go back and revisit, because I think I got sidetracked somewhere in the middle of season 4, somewhere along the lines. But I loved the show. I thought it was great. And then the fact that it was on TV was even more phenomenal. It was sad that, obviously, for contractual reasons, they weren't able to have some of the main superheroes pop in from time to time, but there was mention of them here and there on episodes, which I felt would have been great. But Sony owns Spider-Man, and then Marvel, and the whole thing was just all over the place, that some of the characters weren't able to be a part of that series.
You need to get to season 5 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That is the best season ever. That's when they bring in Gabriel Luna as Ghost Rider, and
I did see a little bit of that. I did see a little bit of that.
Oh my goodness. I still geek out when I think about that season. It was such a good season. I think that's their best season. It was so good, yeah.
And it was awesome to see him, because of that. I mean, he ended up working in Terminator Dark Fate, and was like the brand new version of the Terminator,
yeah.
Which it was cool to see. And I was like, hey, that's the guy who's Ghost Rider. So yeah, it's a testament to the show and being able to take that with you and propel you to the next level in your career. I'm still looking for the video. I have all these pictures of me and Hugh Jackman. That right there, that's a lottery ticket. There's a story behind that. What he would do is every Wednesday for him was his like Friday, because he also had some commitments in New York. So he'd fly back and forth from New York to New Mexico and back to New York. But before he would leave, he would walk around set with a stack of lottery scratcher tickets and give one to everybody. He did it himself. It wasn't like he could have easily gotten an assistant to say, hey, can you go hand these out? He had the stack of tickets, and he walked around set and gave everybody a ticket. And so, like, my first Wednesday there, he's like, oh, here you go. And I was like, what's this? He's like, it's for you. Hope you win something. And then he walked away, and I was like, what's going on? I didn't get what was going on. And he said, well, he does that for the whole cast and crew. He'll walk around and give everybody a lottery ticket. So on the last day of filming, I get in the van with Hugh. We go back to base camp, and I get in the back of the van, and on the chair there's a lottery ticket, a scratcher. And I'm like, oh, hey, did anybody lose a ticket? And everybody's like, no. I said, Hugh, did you give out tickets today? He's like, no, I didn't give out any tickets. I said, oh. He's like, well, scratch it, see what you get. And I start to scratch it, and it's like $5, $10, $5,000, $25, $5,000, $5,000. It says match 3 and win that prize. I'm like, $5,000. And I start jumping and screaming in the truck. I'm like, I just won $5,000. And Hugh was like, awesome. He's giving me high fives. When we get back to base camp, we take this picture, right? And then we take this picture. And then I go to my trailer and I'm like, how do I redeem this? And I flip the ticket around and it says redeemable in your dreams. It was a gag. So Hugh got me with a gag lottery ticket. Here, I was still celebrating. In this picture, I was still celebrating. And if you look at the ticket closely, I don't know if you can see it well, but it says like 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. And I thought I had won $5,000, but it was a gag lottery ticket. So I could hear Hugh Jackman in the trailer, in the makeup trailer next to mine, laughing hysterically at the fact that when I figured it out, you could hear me go, oh, that's so messed up. Everybody was laughing at base camp. It was pretty funny.
Oh my God, no way.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I found the video if you want to see it.
Oh, yes, go ahead, yes.
All right, so I'm going to play this video here. I'm going to put the volume up. So this was the video I sent my daughter.
Hope everything's going good in California. Hope you're staying cold, nice and cool in this weather. But I wanted someone to say hi to you. Jamie, hi, look what your dad did to me. I tell you, you better tell your fiance to watch out. I'm kidding. Congratulations, I heard the good news, and I hope to meet you one of these days. Your old man is a good man. All right, don't give him a hard time. Bye. All right, sweetheart, I love you, and I'll see you when I get back in California.
Oh, I'm freaking out. That's not even for me. Wow.
Isn't that amazing? He was just that kind of person. He was, you know, the humblest, the warmest person that you could ever wish to work with. So yeah, it was awesome. And I think I have a picture. This is how, and the guy is a beast. You know, in that movie, he was supposed to be sick, so he couldn't be, you know, the jacked Wolverine that we've seen in the past, because his character was getting sick from the adamantium in his system was killing him. So he couldn't get as bulked out as he normally would, but he was still extremely fit, and he towered over me. Yeah, he towered over me. He made me feel very short standing next to him. But you know, it was again one of the highlights certainly in my career.
Hugh Jackman is very tall. He's like 6 foot something, which is kind of crazy because Wolverine is very short. In the comic books, he's like 5 foot something. So, but
he's Wolverine. It's very difficult for me to imagine somebody else stepping into those shoes. And
yes.
I know that that's in the works to do something with a new Wolverine. But it's so difficult for me to see somebody else step into those shoes.
Same for me. I can't. Hugh Jackman nailed the role. Like, he really gave it what it is. I know so many people have done it. Like, Steve Bloom has voiced Wolverine in like almost everything, like animated and video game. But Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. Like, there's no one else. No one else.
Yeah. Not to discount that they might find someone who can really do some justice to it. You know, look what happened with the Joker. You know, and when you know, Joaquin Phoenix came in, he blew everybody away, and it was like, there's no way he's gonna be able to top what, you know, had been done. And I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now with the previous actor who played him, and one
Jared Leto,
Heath Ledger.
Oh, Heath Ledger. I don't know why I thought, because I was thinking Suicide. You said previous, so
You're thinking Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger was so phenomenal in that even before he did the role, people were like, there's no way Heath Ledger's going to be able to pull off the Joker. And then he blew everybody away with what he did. And then everybody else was like, there's no way we're ever going to see anybody else playing the Joker. And then Joaquin Phoenix came in and blew it out of the water too. So you never know. They may find somebody out there who's able to don the blades and do the job justice.
But there'll never be another Hugh.
No, for certainly not. Certainly not. Multi-talented, by the way.
Now we're getting into the fun part of the interview, where this is called Weird and Wacky, where I ask you a rapid-fire series of questions, and you have a minute to answer all of them. No one has gotten to 15 questions. Will you be the first who has gotten to 15 questions?
Oh, okay. I'm ready. Let's see.
All right.
Got my
time.
That.
Yeah, I knew someone called you when I heard the buzzing.
I got you. Perfect.
All right, I'm about to start the timer in 3, 2, 1. Longest time period without taking a shower.
1 week.
Weirdest food you've ever eaten.
Fried beetle.
Coolest vacation you've ever been on.
Bangkok.
Would you rather eat dirty toenails or chocolate covered cockroaches?
Bring on the toenails.
What's an instrument you would learn to love to play?
Guitar.
Favorite video game?
Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
Favorite movie?
Logan.
Popular song that you hate?
Popular song that I hate. I've been out too late. That what's her name? Oh my God, Taylor Swift. It's one of the Taylor Swift songs. Yes, but that's one of them.
A popular movie that people love, but that you just didn't get the appeal of. 8 seconds.
Oh my God,
5, 4,
oh no,
3, 2, 1, and time. All right, there goes the timer.
Now I'm gonna have to think of that one. Popular movie that people like that I just could not get. I'm gonna have to think about that one now. You never know when that question might be asked again.
Right. Now this is my last question that I love to end all my interviews with. I wanted, before we end it off, thank you so much. This has been so much fun getting to learn more about you and just you speaking on your experiences. And thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Thank you for having me. I've had a blast as well.
What would be your current message to the world during these current times that we live in? We have a whole pandemic going on. We have protests going around. We have marches going on in Washington. People are feeling hopeless and scared and confused. What would you say to people right now?
Be patient. Be loving to your fellow man. I know everybody has their opinions about, left and right or down the middle. We'll all get through it. We'll all get through it. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. So my thing is just, work hard to stay positive and do whatever you can to stay active. A body in motion stays in motion, and if you are sitting sedentary, that's also going to play emotional games with your mindset and your emotions. So, try and be positive and stay active and be loving to everybody as much as you possibly can.
100% agree. All right, well, that was Al Coronel. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your service. Thank you for speaking with me.
And what about The Last Ship? Yes, The Last Ship was a show that I worked on. Actually, funny story was when I was working on that ship, which is a post-apocalyptic world where a virus kills 90% of the world's population. During one of the days of filming, one of the other actors said, "Oh man, I just went into audition for the new Wolverine movie." I said, "Oh, you did? Oh man, that would be so awesome to be able to audition for something like that." I didn't know. And then a few weeks later I auditioned. So I look back at that thinking, oh man, that's right. I had heard that they were auditioning people for it, but I didn't think anything of it that I would get the opportunity, and I'm glad I did and ended up being a part of it.
Awesome. Well, guys, that'll be it. You guys be sure to follow Al Coronel and me at Jantmor TV. I will see you guys next time on my next interview. Al, please stay safe. Have a happy holidays, and I'll stay in contact with you.
You too. Look forward to hearing from you again.
Absolutely. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
All right, guys.